All right, good morning, everyone. Tim Davis coming to you guys with another market review. And this weekend, I am going to start off just a little differently to show you guys the overall market sentiment tool that I like to track. I like to use to track the overall market sentiment. And so this is a look at a weekly chart. Start off with a weekly chart of the SPXA 200R, which tracks the overall percentages of the percentage of stocks in the S&P that are trading below their 200-day moving average. And one thing I want to point out here is just by taking a look at the RSI in general, down at the bottom. Look at the RSI, you'll see that it's in an uptrend. So that is a positive sign for this particular tool. So you see this RSI, it's like it made a double tap or double bottom between March and June, and then it started to trend higher. The overall RSI, the oscillator starting to trend higher. So that could be a positive thing. If you've been watching me for a while, I told you guys that we've been looking at this tool, monitoring this tool, we've been in a range. And I pretty much highlighted this range that we've been in, which is this box here. And we had tapped the bottom of the range a few times. And we tapped the top of the range at least once. The top of the range takes that percentage up to about 80%. So it looks like we could be making an attempt to head back towards the 80% level. And then we have to see what happens once we get there. Do we run into a brick wall and start to trend lower? And again, this tool is a percentage of S&P 500 companies trading above their overall 200-day moving average. So this pretty much tracks overall sentiment. And if we run into a roadblock up here, more than likely we will see a roadblock in the overall S&P and the other markets to follow. So that's something to keep in mind. Now, just a quick glance at the daily chart. You see a slight pullback here, back to the moving average. That's what we pulled back to on Friday. Back to the moving average on the daily chart. So do we get a bounce here and go right back up towards this 80%? That is a possibility. So that's something I'll be looking out for as we head into the trading week beginning this week. All right. So now let's take a look. Go straight to the S&P 500. Here's the S&P 500 daily chart. One thing I'll point out here is as price action has been heading higher, see, we've been in this, oops, didn't want to do that. We've been in this nice uptrend here. If you look at the RSI, there's a divergence here. Overall momentum has been showing signs that it wants to go higher. RSI got into overbought territory on the daily, but the oscillators have been trending lower. We have not gotten as high as we were before, back here 85% of the RSI. Tried to go back up towards that overbought territory, 85% back in the beginning of July, but only got up to around 75% or 74%. Right here, we're just a tad higher, right at 76%, but that's like we're starting to trend lower. So we had to see if this is the sign of the momentum getting tired. We have to wait and see how that pans out as we open price action on Monday morning. We could see a slight pullback here, right down to this moving average. That is a possibility, or we could break through this level of resistance. We have to wait and see how this pans out in market opens, but it looks like the momentum to the upside could be starting to get exhausted. So we have to see how this pans out. We could get a pullback on one thrust higher, as I showed you in the SPXA 200R, that price action looks like it wants to go higher, and we're almost at that 80% level on the SPXA. So we're very close to an area where we can start to see the market start to stall. So keep that in mind as we trade through the trading today and the rest of this week. that we're almost at a level of resistance. Almost at a level where we can see the market really start to reverse and go in the other direction. So that is the S&P. Now let's take a look at the Dow Jones. And Dow Jones daily chart, looks like we're right at a level of resistance. Price action looks like it wants to go higher. If you look at the RSI, looks like we are teetering at a level where we could break above in the overbought territory. That is a possibility. We hit that level before back in June, but we pulled back. Unless the RSI wants to go a little bit higher. So it's right at a level of resistance. You can see we've hit this level before and struggled. So do we struggle again with a pullback? We have to wait and see. We did it before once back in the beginning of June. We did it here right around middle of, or I said the second week in July. And we're testing this area again here. So the ultimate is if we see the Dow Jones break above this level, well above this 35,000 level, I would say 35,000 is what we're going to look at, or 34,600. Get about 34,600, then we could see a push towards 35,000. Okay, that is the Dow Jones daily chart. And one quick glance at its weekly chart. And look at this. Look at this cluster right here. In the weekly chart, you see this cluster up here. So that's been a tight cluster since June. Since June, we've been bouncing between these two levels. And you can see me got the trend lines drawn here. So we've been bouncing between these two trend lines for a bit with this current weekly chart looking very strong, like it wants to break out above this level. And you see this upper trend line has been a strong level of resistance going all the way back to November of 2022. So do we finally break out above this level, head towards 35,000? That is a huge possibility, folks, which we will run into some more resistance at that level. So that's what the market looks like it wants to do. Like it really wants to press above this level. So we have to wait and see what happens. Let's look at the Dow Jones. Now let's go straight to our NASDAQ. All right, NASDAQ is looking extremely strong, y'all. And this is a weekly chart of the NASDAQ. And we're in overbought territory, but it's like it wants to stay there for some reason. Gotta wait and see. But we got this. Look at the RSI. Look out, we're at 80%. RSI showing at an 80 reading. We were at a highs at 87 reading. And we look at what's happening here. It looks like it wants to stay. It's trying to, you got the RSI hinging back up. I'll say it's hinging back up like it wants to go higher. We have to wait and see. But that's a possibility. We could continue to go higher. And if we do, here is another level of resistance up here on the NASDAQ, right around here on this weekly chart, which is right around 14,000, close to 15,000. So it's right around 14,693. Could we find a way to rally up to that level and before we see next pullback? That's a possibility. So that's something to keep in mind. Let's look at the daily chart. Let's look at the daily chart. Looks like we showing some type of temporary pullback in motion with this area up here. Looks like we made it up to this point. It's like a reversal candle. Look at the RSI on the daily chart. Looks like it's hinging lower. And we have the 20 per moving average that's just below price action. So could we pull back to the 20 per moving average before moving higher? That's also a possibility. And then we have to wait and see what happens. So either we continue to go higher from here, or we can pull back to this 20 per moving average, which will also act as a level of support. And then we can move higher. So we have to wait and see what happens as the market opens today. But the overall sentiment, the overall direction still looks to be in an uptrend with a possibility of a pullback, just a slight pullback here, possibility in the near future. That's our NASDAQ. So we take a look at our Dow Jones, the S&P, and the NASDAQ. Now let's take a look at the Russell 2000. Russell 2000, definitely see this reversal candle on last Friday. So could we pull back a little bit further back to this moving average? That is a huge possibility. That could take the Russell back to about 19,000. So that's something to pay attention to. If you look at the RSI, we have dipped out of the overbought territory. And like it's heading lower, but we could quickly reverse. This market has been trying to show some resilience about with these pullbacks being short-lived and then price action going higher. Look at the weekly chart. These weekly charts is what it got me intrigued because they're looking strong. Look at the strong weekly candle we had on last week. Big, strong move higher. Look at the RSI. It looks like it's ready to go into overbought territory. And the Russell looks like on the weekly chart, we could go higher. Look at all of this. This is the this was the downtrend that we saw back in February. And it looks like price action is trying to push in the opposite direction now and possibly test this ultimate high up here. So could the Russell be heading to this level, 2000? That's a huge possibility, folks. So if you look at that 2000 level, that could be a level that Russell could be heading, could be trying to make an attempt to run towards. So as we hit the level right here, back in around January, and then that level was seen as an area of resistance where we seen rejections back in August of 2022. So, folks, the bulls could still be trying to push this market just a tad bit higher with some pullbacks that could be quickly reversed. I'm telling you, because this weekly chart looks a little strong right now, but there is overhead resistance in the near future. All right, take a look at the VIX. And the VIX showed, look at this weekly chart on the VIX. We got a big red candle on last week, pretty much engulfing this previous candle. So we could see even VIX tip a little lower. That's a possibility. But that big engulfing red candle we got on last week was almost engulfed up to entire price action, but just right now, just engulfing the body portion of the previous candle. But this is a strong red candle we saw last week. So could we go a little lower in the VIX? That is true. That's a possibility. Look at the daily chart. Oscillators and RSI still trending, heading lower. Still heading lower. In RSI, we see price action right here at a stalemate as far as the VIX on the daily chart with the red candle on Friday. So could we head lower? That's a possibility. And if we head lower, we could head back lower to test this 1273 level that we hit back in middle part of June. So overall movement looks like we could be consolidating right now, but looks like overall markets are consolidating, but like the overall markets could be making an attempt to head higher with the VIX showing a possible move lower if it does not break back above this 20 pip moving average. Or this 10 pip moving average right here. So this is yellow line. Okay. That's a look at the overall markets and the VIX. Now let's glance at crude oil, because crude oil showed signs of a pullback in store. And here's crude. This is a daily chart of crude. Again, we've been in an uptrend, nice steady uptrend since around let's say June 28th. And we just recently broke that uptrend, starting to pull back. Now the question is whether we find support. Crude right now on a daily chart is approaching support right around 70, right around 74 bucks. Do we bounce here and head higher? We have to wait and see. That's what the daily chart is showing us. If we take a look at a weekly chart, again, we're in an overall uptrend. And again, do we head back towards this 70, and on the weekly chart, do we head back towards the 73 The $73 level, that is also a possibility, but the overall sentiment is still looking bullish. If you look at the TTM squeeze, it still looks like we're really ready to march higher. TTM squeeze like it's coming out of a downward trend on the weekly chart. Look at the momentum. Got these dark red bars stretching to light yellow, and they're getting shorter and shorter and shorter, signaling that we possibly want to break out in a major way on WTI crude. So that's something to pay attention to as we pull back here. Look for areas of support for possible continuation higher, without possible bounce continuation higher. All right. Let's take a look at gold and silver because they also been showing some strength here lately. Now, so gold and silver, they experienced a little pullback on a weekly chart, but like if try to find some support right, gold try to find support right around the 19,000 level. Looks like since then it's been moving higher, right back up to an area of resistance right around this 10-day moving average on the weekly chart. And that's where we look like we're ready. Gold is going to have to make a decision here. So do we hold this level right around 1957 and then start to go higher? Have to wait and see. That is a possibility. Look at a daily chart of gold. Looks like we are experiencing some pullback right now. Looks like we have some support right around the 1950 level. So do we hold a level and then go higher? We have to wait and see. That's what signs are pointing to, that this momentum, overall momentum is higher with a slight pullback right now. We have to see if that is the case. Look at silver, same scenario. Nice big move on silver last week. In fact, silver looked a little bit stronger than gold. And right now we have overbought territory, so it will not phase me or shock me to see some type of pullback towards this moving average, which will put price of gold right back below 25 bucks, around 24.30, 24.30, 24.50 if we get that pullback on the daily chart. And the weekly chart, again, looks strong. Broke above its 10-day moving average in a major way. So it would not surprise me to see a pullback back towards this 20-per moving average, which would take silver right back below 24.50 level. But the overall movement sentiment looks to be in a bullish in a bullish state. All right. So we took a look at everything and all the major markets. Now I want to take a look at again, silver is one that I pointed out last week. That I shared. The SLV was a position that you should be looking at if you were looking for a strong bullish narrative or position to get into. And here's a weekly chart of the SLV. We saw this big breakthrough on last week above its 10-day moving average. Look at the oscillators and RSI. Look very strong on the weekly chart. So overall, my overall bias on silver is to the upside. So any pullback could be a buying opportunity. So keep that in mind. And here's a daily chart on the SLV itself. Again, look at these gap ups. So that's another thing that leads me to believe that we can see some type of pullback. You got several gaps in here. Gap in price action. Gap in price action. A lot of times you get these gaps. Those gaps find a way to reverse and fill. So keep that in mind that we could see some type of reversal in silver with some of these gaps being filled, but I think it'll find support somewhere in overbought territory. So any pullback could be a place for accumulation and a place to find support for a possible continuation higher. Another stock that I was looking at on about a week ago was BABA, because BABA has been starting to show some strength. It had a strong gap up on its daily chart above this 20-day moving, 10-day moving average, 10-period moving average. This yellow line is my 10-day moving average line. And we gap right up above this level and been marching higher since. It's like we could be in the midst of some kind of pullback right now. Of price action could be pulling back all the way back towards 93 bucks. That's a possibility. We also could bounce right here, because if you look where we're at now, you broke above this level right here, which is a level of resistance at one point. So this level here was acted as a level of resistance at one point. Hit that level before and we pull back. Previous, we bounced around that level on the way down back in April of last year, and eventually broke below that level. So this level also could be a strong level of support. So could we bounce here where we at now? That is a possibility. That is a possibility. Or if we don't and we break through this level, we could pull all the way back to this moving average, back below 93. So that's something to pay close attention to as BABA continues to make an attempt to trend higher. Here's a weekly chart on BABA, which gives me confidence, or give me more confidence that it could be looking for a breakout. Look at this is weekly chart. We've been hitting this ceiling right now where we at now quite a bit, and looks like TTM squeeze wants to go higher. And look at the volume on the weekly chart. It's been going, it's starting to steadily go higher. So I think we could stall around here for a second, and I think this week we could see a major break above this level on BABA, and that would be a big bullish move for BABA. So again, you see this has pretty much created a strong level of resistance for a while. I mean, strong level of support for a while, right around this $80 level, before making a convincing move or starting to consolidate. So BABA, hit that support level, and then we pretty much started to consolidate. If you look at Earl's congestion here, it's been a consolidation zone, and that's been going on for a couple of months. So could BABA finally break back above this level of resistance? That's a huge possibility. And if it finally finds a way to break above this level on this week, we could see BABA really start to take off. So that's what made me point that out on last week, and this position that I currently hold a call spread in. All right, folks, that's all I have for you guys for this weekend. Hopefully this is something that you guys can use. Again, I do think the bulls are trying their best to fight back and show strength in this overall market. So keep that in mind. The bulls are still trying to fight, and there is overhead resistance coming up, but the bulls are trying to fight for right now. And if we do hit the overhead resistance, it could be some big pullbacks. So keep that in mind. All right, folks, enjoy the rest of your morning and enjoy your trading week. I'll catch you guys on the next video.